like everyone's score, and I was going to do it for everyone that we have to do a thingy for, because when I have to put in the grade book later,
it's
it'll be
easier that way.
easier.
Yeah, if you want to share that with me, you can.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for meeting with me today. The first thing we're going to do is celebrations. What's been going well? What's a win you've had in your class?
Within the last week, behavior has gotten way better.
Awesome. What do you attribute that to?
Being more strict.
Yeah. Tightening up.
Yeah, tightening up a bit more, and just like staying true to my like consequences. Like I've added some rewards too. Oh, the behavior reflection. You can look at that. Thank you so much. Like they get to come upstairs with me for good behavior. If the whole class behaves, the whole class gets to come up during lunch just to eat lunch with me.
Oh, nice. That's a good idea.
But yeah, the behavior has gotten a lot better. There's still some issues with certain students, but even they are getting a little bit better.
Oh, good. I didn't get the form that you shared.
Oh.
Did you share?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you shared it.
Oh. Oh,
It took a second.
Yep. Have you seen any wins? I know we've been working on this standard 5RC2 and 5RC1, but have you seen any wins with data?
Yeah, so data wins, sorry, when you said
no,
wins,
you
that
can
was the
do
first
either.
one.
No, we like to talk about both.
So I was like really surprised with like how like much it changed, because for block 1 even like 52%, like the majority were in like meeting the standard.
Yeah, which we haven't seen.
Yeah.
It was like last week, do you remember, it was like 30?
Yeah, last week it was like 30. I can actually pull it up. I try to usually have them both up.
I know, I thought I did, now oops.
I lose the tabs a lot. So the last one was more like hitting it, but that was because that
you
was
all
one
did
that
it
we
together.
did it together.
You all,
so
this one you did independently.
This one we did independently.
So the last one you did independently, I do remember it was in the 30s, which is why you did that one together, and then this one you did independently. So we're seeing their independent work increase. Okay, great. So we're still going to be talking about standard 5RC2.
Yep.
Determining the theme of a story from details in the text, and
including how characters respond to challenges or how the speaker in the poem reflects upon a topic.
Yeah.
Summarize the text.
Yeah. So I highlighted the parts of the standard that this task that we're looking at today specifically focused on. And so what I narrowed it down to is determine the theme of a poem determine the theme of a poem from details in the poem, including how the speaker in a poem reflects upon a topic, and summarize the text. Because this task specifically asked him to do that. We're looking at the highest leverage question, which was question number 5.
Number 5, yep.
And question number 5 asked them to summarize the events of the poem in your own words. I also, when we kind of talked before this, I also went back to question number 3 because if they couldn't do question number 3 right, they weren't gonna get question number 5 right. So let's dive into this. So let's look at the specific text, summarize the events of the poem in your own words, and then let's talk about what students need to be able to know and show in order to master this task. I'm sure you have our previous know and show chart for this standard was a little bit less robust than the one that I made for this one, because if you remember the previous one when we were looking at this standard, didn't ask them to address the entire standard. I'm going to pull it here. Is it this one? No. No, this one right here. So we were just looking for key details in the text last time, and then remember they were determining cause and effects based on those key details. This is kind of asking them to address the entire standard.
Yeah.
Identify the theme using key details and summarize the text.
Yep.
So I changed the know and show chart a little bit. You want to take like 2 minutes and look at this and see if there's anything that you would add or take away.
And then you highlighted the most.
So as I was like looking, and we can change this as we go if we decide that we want to change it after we like look at our exemplars and the student work and everything. But these are the things that I think that they struggled with that I then put in my gap statement.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you don't have to worry about that yet.
Okay. Yeah, no, I wouldn't add anything. That looks.
Yeah. So they need to
spot on.
understand what theme is and then show that they can identify the theme using details. They must know how to find text evidence. Specifically in question 3 here, they needed to be able to find textual evidence to determine the definition of a
rude,
word.
yeah.
Of rude, yeah. And then cite lines or examples. That question number 3 asks them to specifically cite examples from the text that help them identify that definition. Students may need to understand that students need to understand that a poem must have a speaker, and speakers may have feelings, thoughts, or reflections on a topic. They will explain how the speaker reflects on a topic, which this asks them to do. Students must know how to summarize without opinions, and students will create brief, clear summaries that combine the poem's important ideas.
Yep.
Okay, so looking at that, then we looked at this text, we looked at the task, we talked through the know and show on specifically for this standard and this task, what they need to do. So now let's look at a student exemplar. And the ones that you gave me, I pulled out both I always say his name, Rogelio and David's as a student exemplar. And then I have my exemplar, and you have the curriculum exemplar.
Yes. And then you pick up the ones that I give you and put them on top.
There he is.
Okay.
Okay, so one thing that we talked about before, looking at my exemplar and the assessment exemplar, the curriculum exemplar, do you have that?
Sorry, I have the whole book.
Yeah, it's okay.
So number 5 is summarize the events in your own words. Students need to understand both that the speaker encountered a crow who shook snow onto him and that this event made him feel lighter or happier about his day.
Okay, so when we look at the answer key from the curriculum, one thing that I think is important to have a teacher create an exemplar for is because they don't necessarily show how they're annotating the text, which we've talked about previously.
Yeah.
So it's good to create your own exemplar where you're in it. You did that on there? Okay.
Yeah, and this is what they get.
Yeah, and so that is where, when we're comparing the student exemplars to our exemplars and your exemplars, so what are you noticing just in that aspect on these two?
So Rogelio did it exactly. He just didn't put the notes that we talked about. I put the questions that I'm asking them as we're annotating it, and then I have them write the answers next to it. What I pulled David specifically because I noticed that he didn't do it, but he still met mastery. So I thought maybe if he did do it, he may have been able to even possibly hit the 4.
Yeah. So that's what I noticed about these two as well, which is why I pulled the 2 as exemplars, because Rogelio did annotations, David did not. One thing, and we're not necessarily going to focus on all of that, well, we might. One thing that I would have them do is circle, square, or underline any clues from the text that are going to help them answer the questions.
Okay.
So remember a couple weeks ago in our data meeting, we talked about having them pre-read the questions, and then so for here, for number 1, what happens to the speaker in the first 2 lines of the stanza? Shook on me a dust of snow is what I circled. Just, things that would help me answer that. What was I forgot to circle some part of my day, so my exemplar is not perfect either. But I would circle that. But then it talks about, for number 3, the speaker says that at first he rued the day, but it was eventually saved. Did you tell them what rude meant?
Yeah, we did the definition. We always preview vocab before the lesson.
Okay, yeah, because some of them use the exact words from the vocabulary, and some of them put it in their own words, which then tricked them up when they got to the summary in their own words. And so in my exemplar, I made sure that I wrote, a speaker was standing under a hemlock tree when a crow dropped snow on him. He was in a bad mood before, but this changed his mood. This highlights the theme that even small moments have a big impact. Which I would say, when we're looking at the student exemplar, what did I do in my exemplar that it didn't even ask? The question didn't even ask for. Ignore that part.
The theme.
The theme statement. The standard asks for the theme statement. The task does not, because we're still scaffolding towards that. And so if students can, I would push them. If you know the theme, make sure you identify the theme.
Yeah, and I've been telling them that since.
And so the 2 student ones, the speaker has a bad day and a crow shook snow on him and he laughed and he changed his mood. And then this one, a crow shook down on him, then his mood changed to good from the day he was having. So looking at those exemplars, looking at my exemplar, even these exemplars, I think each of them do one thing different. They each have different tiny mistakes in them. Can you identify what those are?
Right here, his mood. From the day he was having.
It changed to good, so he was right.
Yeah, no.
There, but he didn't say what kind of day he was having before, which is the definition of rude.
Yeah, exactly. And then, well, he said that he did have a bad day, and a crow shook snow on him, and he laughed, and he changed his mood.
This one's tricky.
Yeah.
So he didn't laugh in the poem. In the poem, it says, the way a crow shook snow down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree, has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of the day. It didn't say in there he laughed. And
And
so,
that makes a lot of sense because thinking back at it, when I was trying to, like, when we were trying to annotate and go over the poem, a lot of them were confused on why his mood changed to good after getting snow landed on him because they were like, that would upset me. That would ruin my day.
yeah, I wouldn't be happy about that.
Yeah, and I had to go over, like, I gave them an example, like, snow landing on me, but instead of making it, like, the worst thing, I'm just gonna laugh it off. So he really held on to the laugh.
Held on to the laugh,
Yeah.
and that is, I was reading this too, and I was like, I hate snow. And so those context clues too are so important for them to understand, which is why it wanted them to like really analyze the context clues, the definition of rude.
Yeah.
Because it says, it saves some part of a day I had rude. And so that signifies that he actually does like snow and likes the crow putting snow on him. So looking at a couple representatives of non-examples, there were a couple non-examples in here, like Giovanni and Romeo, who like just went completely way off topic.
task. I think one tried to give their own poem, and then I gotta find it.
But actually, I want to look at is it Demaya
Yeah.
and Gilberto?
And Gilberto, yes.
You don't have to pull them up.
Okay.
I can just set them out
Thank
here.
you.
Yeah. And think about what gaps these two students have from making those a 3 response. And then really quick, going back to my response here,
Yeah.
3 would be summarizing it. I think
Yeah.
I would give 4s
Okay.
to students who identify the theme.
And I think what made me like kind of veer from that, because originally that's what I was thinking, was because the curriculum specifically stated that they need to mention the change of mood, that he felt lighthearted after it.
Oh, yeah, and that makes it a 3, right? That does
Yeah.
what the task is asking it to do. But if you're pushing them to do
But if they
beyond
say,
the task and to the standard, including the theme.
Okay. So this is Demaya. At first, he was having a bad day. Then he was under a tree and it had snow on it. The crows started shaking it, and the snow got on him. Yeah, this one is completely missing the change of the mood. But you said that if they summarized it correctly, like had all the events, you would have gave them a 3.
But I think this one, you're right. They're missing a key detail.
Yeah.
The change of mood is like the
It's a
entire
part of, yeah.
key detail that leads to the theme of like even small moments can have a big impact.
And I think that's what kind of made it confusing, was because if they included the change of mood, I understood that they understood the theme without saying it. Because a lot of them really focused on the change of mood without saying it.
Well, which is why that's a scaffold towards the standard. That's what the curriculum is doing. But you gave this student a 2.
Yeah.
I would have given that a 2 too.
Okay.
And then this one.
When he was, the speaker felt, and because he was walking sad, and that made him happy. So with this one, I could see that he understood the theme, but he wasn't able to summarize the events.
And he was missing, that's because he was missing the detail of the snow falling on him, like what made him happy. He talks about his day changed. When he was the speaker, he felt saved because he was walking, and then it made him happy.
Yeah,
like what made him happy.
And that's what I've been working on with them, because they like to be very generic in their answer. And I've been making them like rewrite their answers to explain the why.
Yeah. And that goes back to missing the key details in the text. And so then we go back to our know and show chart, right? After we're looking at our student work, we look at our student work, and now we think, what do we need them to know and to be able to show to get a 3? And we identified that up here. We've identified that these people are missing key details.
Key details.
So do you agree in here that for them to know how to identify key details, it's this item on the know and show chart?
Yeah.
They must know how to find text
I initially was
evidence.
leaning towards students must understand what theme is, but a lot of them do. It's just they were missing.
Yeah, if they can't identify
the
the key
events of
details,
happening, yeah.
they're not going to be able to identify the theme fully.
Yeah.
And then because of that, this task asks them to do what? Just write a summary, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
because they weren't able to find text evidence, like for the non-examples, the students who got it were. They weren't able to write brief, clear summaries that combines the poem's important ideas and connects it to the theme.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's turn that into a gap statement. Students cannot yet, if you want to take a minute to draft yours based on that. Yeah, so just make sure, so students are not yet able to determine the theme of a poem and summarize it because they don't yet fully understand how to identify key details in the poem that support the theme of the poem. You flip-flop. Oh wait, no, you're right. Students are not yet able to, I would even take out determine the theme. In mine, I put students are not yet able to summarize.
Okay.
And I flipped it, so I need to flip it back. Oh, no, I didn't. Students cannot yet create a brief, clear summary that combines the poem's important ideas and connects to theme.
Okay, summarize a poem because they don't yet fully understand how to identify key details
that support the identified theme.
that support.
So what we need them to do is find those key details that support the theme.
Yeah.
And then they can write clear summaries because the summaries that were not exemplars were missing key details.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. So based on your data, with having 52 students in block 1 and 37 students in block 2, meeting the criteria for success, what reteaching option do you think we should do?
Could it be different between the different blocks?
Yes.
So like block 1 would be small group, and then block 2 would be whole group reteach?
Yeah, you could, yeah. Usually we want to be at 80% of people mastering it before you move into small group.
Okay.
But if there's something that lends itself to those 50% working on something else where you pull the 38 or whatever it is, the 52% that mastered and pull the 38, it's kind of a large small group. But if you can structure it that way, then you can pull those 38, but I would still do a model.
Okay.
So I looked through Unit 4 because you're giving the assessment on Monday and then you're starting Unit 4. I didn't really find anything in Unit 4 that was asking even just a text for the first several lessons that was asking them to do this. So I thought just a quick do now model would be a good option for you. And so I pulled some resources from Common Lit that I thought we could practice scripting a model together. And then we could practice that really quick. So this is a longer one. I think both of these poems, and I scripted a couple questions that we could write the model around. So this one, what I was thinking, you know how we talked about an I do, we do before, or an I do, you do before. So you model it and then give them a task. So this would be something quick you could model, and then you could give them this longer one to read and complete the questions on their own, either as like an early finisher activity or an exit ticket at the end of the class, so like you could, or right after your model. So this poem would be quicker to model. It's the Clock Man, and then I wrote 2 questions on my own because the questions that came with it didn't really ask them to do that. But the questions, 1, ask them to pick out key details, and 2, then ask them to summarize the text, just like what we want them to do. So based on context clues in the first stanza, what do you think the author means by "for my days are as many as smiles"? And then summarize the events of the poem in your own words. Be sure to identify the theme. We can take that "be sure to identify the theme" part out because that isn't exactly aligned to the task they just did. We just want them to summarize the events. So using these 2 questions in this poem, do you want to take them? We can each take 5 minutes and write a quick model script. I can pull it up on my computer. You can use that. And then we'll look at our scripts together. They're coming back in 5 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, we'll take 1 more minute and then let's look at, you can finish it after this and send it
Okay.
to me for feedback too. I just wanna see that we're on the right track.
Okay, I have an idea of it. I just need to.
Yeah, we can talk through it. Mhm.
Okay, so I titled it. I started with teacher introduces the lesson topic and learning target. So today we're going to be reading a poem called The Clockman by Shel Silverstein, and then I'm going to let them know that by the end of today's lesson that they'll be able to use context clues. I based off of these two.
Yep.
Use context clues / key details to find meaning in the poem, and then summarize the events of the poem in I would say our own words.
Yeah, and you can change the language to context clues to key details if that's what you guys have been using in class. That's fine.
Okay. Sweet.
Also, I would connect that back to, I was looking at your last activity
Okay.
in which you were asked to do this, and we've not yet mastered it, so we're going to continue to practice. So they know this is building on what they've already learned.
I was looking at I'm so sorry. Your
Last activity
Yeah, last.
where you were asked to use key details to summarize a poem. And then I kind of in mine just restated the gap. I could share this with you too. I realized that many were not yet able to create a clear summary because you were eliminating key details from the summary. Just
Okay.
sharing with them in student-friendly language what their gap was.
Okay, and then I was going to introduce the poem by reading the little about, and then what I was going to go into was just like modeling my own thinking. Like I know I'm going to have to answer questions after reading the poem, so before I read the poem, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the questions, so I know what to look out for as I read it. And then I'll go ahead and read the questions out loud, like I'm reading them to myself, like I'm going to be doing it. So I would read both questions, and then I would do a read through of the poem as if I was reading it to myself, just like I was a student. And then as I'm reading through it, I would stop whenever I find something that might relate to "For my days are as many as smiles."
What do you think that is in there?
So the question is, what do you think the author means by "For my days are as many as smiles"? How much will you pay for next week day? The clockman asked the child, not 1 penny.
Do you want to help?
Low key. Sorry.
That's okay. No, I identified circling just the fact that he was asking a child.
Okay, yeah.
Because normally,
The
like, children
concept of
have a
money,
lot of smiles. Like, he's not going to pay for more days because he feels like they're unlimited right now. He has unlimited. Kids have unlimited smiles. He has unlimited smiles because he's a child.
Yeah.
So that means his days are as many as smiles. He's got lots of days left. He's not going to pay anymore.
Okay, and I would say, well, I would look at what the question's asking. So for my days are as many as smiles, and I would stop and I would be like, okay, so who's saying that?
Yeah,
It's the child
identify
saying
the
it.
speaker.
Yeah.
Yes. And so then what does that mean? That he has lots of days left.
Yeah. And then, so I would have them square, because you said maybe squaring
Square,
or...
circle, whatever you're comfortable with. Highlight, square, circle, just somehow to identify those key details.
Okay, so we would square the child, and then I would probably have them underline "For my days are as many as smiles" before, because we know that we're gonna go back to that and look at that. And then also not 1 penny, because he's saying I'm not paying anything.
Yeah, for more days. I don't need more days right now. Okay. And then what?
I feel like I would...
You can add to the question
Yeah.
too, because each line at the beginning or at the end of each stanza kind of does the same thing. So you could walk them through how to do that to determine meaning of each stanza.
Yeah, and I would also have them notice the repetition of the first line and ask how that might be important.
And what changed at the end of the second line in each stanza, because that's where the age is identified.
The ages, the child was grown, Maybe $1, okay.
Yeah.
Or I have plenty of days
And
on
then
my
the
own.
third line changes because the amount of money that they pay gets more.
Yep. Oh, that's kind of sad. Okay.
I
All
know.
all the pearls in the.
Shel Silverstein,
Yeah.
if you look back on his poems, I'm like, man, Shel.
No, for real. And all of the stars in the sky. Okay, so this kind of ties in line to the theme of the poem that they're going to be going over for the unit assessment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you wanted to do it sooner.
Yeah.
Like if
Well,
because the
tomorrow I
unit
don't have
assessment.
anything for like on the curriculum.
Yeah.
For the pacing guide. So I think
would
I
do
might
this
do
tomorrow
this.
because
Yeah.
it'll help them on their assessment.
And then you would want me to record it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can-
Yeah, because I'm not available tomorrow. But yes, record it. That would be
Okay.
awesome. And then I would give them. This is a longer poem. If you can find a shorter one, I just wanted to provide you with something. I pulled this one too. This one is 2 pages.
Amplify might have extra poems.
Okay, yeah, so you could do the same thing.
Thank you.
And then I just picked in lines 10 through 15, the speaker describes a portal to anywhere based on the details in lines 15 through 20. What do you think a portal is?
Okay.
And so it's just like what number 3 asked them to do with the word rude,
Mm-hmm.
and then summarize the poem.
Yeah.
So I would model it using this one, this or whatever you find with 2 similar questions, have them do on their own so you can reassess.
Yeah.
But one thing is because it's a day before the assessment, I would really, as they're doing independent practice, utilize active monitoring
Yeah.
and walk around and
Mhm.
see if they're getting it, because if they're not, have a plan to readdress it again.
Okay.
Because you're trying to get them to perfect this before the
Mhm.
assessment. Okay, I will leave these with you.
Okay.
As we continue on our data meetings, the goal is, I will always bring resources that are like, this is what I would do.
Mhm.
But for you to also like think, okay, for my reteach, what am I going to do? And have like from my next unit or from something coming up in the unit, here's how I'm going to reteach this.
Mhm.
And so that like you're pulling resources that are useful to you, just in case what I find isn't what you would use too. And we'll
Okay.
start like comparing those resources so your reteach, you can start thinking about your reteach as you're planning for our data meetings.
Yep, and that's perfect because Marion actually did my first observation,
Mhm.
and my goal for this second benchmark is being more purposeful with my small groups
Okay.
and using the data to create those small groups.
Okay, all right, well, we can focus on that too
Okay, yeah,
in
that's
your data
perfect.
meetings. Okay, so record tomorrow,
Mhm.
And you can send that to me.
Yeah,
and
this
then
is
I'll be
actually
able to give
perfect
you
because it
feedback.
gives me something to plan for
Plan
because
for
I was
tomorrow.
gonna have to just try to create something.
Well, here we go, we did it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Let me go get my kids.
Yes, sorry.
No, you're good.